we are going to kick it off with an icebreaker. So get ready to answer this question. The question is, what is one food that you hate? Why do you hate it? But what is one good thing about it?
Okay, so I really hate sauerkraut. It is a commonly famous food, but it just has that underlying like flavor to it that's just nasty. However, it is good for your gut health. So that's mine.
And I really despise liver and onions. So disgusting. As a child, I had to eat it. We couldn't get up from the table without eating it. Disgusting. But the iron, the omega, the minerals that come from the meat is so healthy for us.
I absolutely hate seafood. It has a weird texture. I don't like it, but it has good protein. Hargis is giving me bad, dirty looks. I'm scared of her. Maybe that's one reason I should start liking it. But it has good protein, so.
I really hate Brussels sprouts, but I guess I'm not like giving it a chance because the one time I ate it, it was like not cooked right and it was like sour or like bitter and stuff. So, but it's a vegetable and it's good for you, so I should probably give it another try. But Brussels sprouts, yeah, no.
I really hate sardines, and I haven't met a person who likes sardines because they taste disgusting and they smell disgusting. However, they are affordable and they're preserved really well. So if you're ever in an apocalypse, then you can always eat sardines because they last forever, basically.
Or a pandemic.
I heard it was it was a fruit that we had to say, or food that we hate, or
Any food.
I would say pork. I never had that, or maybe had that by mistake. I don't know what are the benefits of that, but I don't eat pork. I even can't eat pork being Muslim. So pork is the one that I would say.
I don't know if you necessarily say it's food, but I don't like apple cider vinegar, although you have a lot of good benefits from it. It's just like, it's a lot of good gut health, but it's awful, awful, awful. That's the worst thing.
It's on who you talk to as to whether it's a food or like a supplement.
Yeah, it's like a foot in the mouth. It's gross.
I hate potatoes. All forms of potatoes. I hate potatoes. They're just obnoxious. They're everywhere. They're cheap and everybody makes it and they fry it and they put crap all over it and I hate them. And there's no benefit at all. Potatoes, Idaho.
What? I am so disappointed. Potatoes are the best thing ever.
Yes. Yes.
Fries, and what about sweet potatoes? Or is it all potatoes?
Sweet potatoes are not potatoes. They're yams and they're great.
Actually, the sweet potato and the yam are different. It's very upsetting to learn that at the East Texas Jamboree in Gilmer, Texas.
Fine. Yams are okay. Potatoes suck. Blah.
Yeah. Yams are white and sweet potatoes are red. It blew my mind. I'm just saying.
Interesting.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes. They had a whole parade and everything. Oh, yeah.
Well, Jumper, since you disliked mine, what food do you hate?
I hate coconut. It's like eating grass. I don't.
Yes.
It's a texture thing. I can't explain it. It's a texture thing. I don't like it. It's like grass.
I'm with you, Jumper.
I don't want to eat
Same
grass.
here. Same here. But mine would definitely have to be tomato soup. I just do not like tomato soup. It's like, it's really sweet and it's not supposed to be sweet, like it's a vegetable or a fruit.
It is a fruit. It is a fruit.
Yes, it is a fruit, but I just don't like sweet soup. I don't, it's weird. But it is good on like cold days when it's rainy and you don't feel like, you feel like having a bowl of soup, you know.
Or with grilled cheese, apparently. Apparently everybody pairs it with grilled cheese.
I just do not like tomato soup.
I hate candy corn. It's so gross. But It is fat-free, so it's actually one of the healthier candies, and it's only like 140 calories per handful, so you could probably get away with munching on a little bit, but I just can't stand the taste. It's so gross.
And if you get it gluten-free, it tastes like plastic too.
Yum.
Wait. Gluten-free candy corn?
Yeah, my grandma bought it a number of years back when she first started going onto the gluten-free diet, and yeah, it looks and tastes like plastic.
Well, what's the gluten?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't know wheat was in candy corn. That's a new one.
I wasn't aware of it either, and it may not be. She may have just found one of those things like gluten-free vanilla.
Well,
There's no reason to call it gluten-free because it already is, but for some reason.
It could be a gimmick.
Maybe people will just pick it up. My mom used to make this recipe that was Okra Gumbo.
Ooh, yum.
And I, in general, like all forms of gumbo, but the way that my mom made it was the thing that kept me at the table, because I was really, really stubborn. So you couldn't get up until you ate it. Yeah. So, midnight. I'm still there.
I love you, man.
Me too, Ms. Bowman. Me too.
You're like, no, I'm not eating that crap.
It reminds me a joke that when I was a kid, we used to have a few vegetables that we had to eat, and we cannot stand that without eating it. And when I turned into teenage, I said, "Mom, I don't like it." And she looked at me and said, "Your dad loves it." And then when she went into the kitchen, I looked at my dad and I said, "Really?" And he said, "You think I can say no?"
Oh! The truth of the matter.
Perfect.
Well, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. We wanted to do this exercise because, just like we were showing here, between something that you dislike incredibly, but there is something good about it. So we wanted to showcase different viewpoints, which is incredibly important when working on your HIA project, because if you go in with biases, the research that you're going to come out with is not necessarily going to be accurate, and it's not necessarily going to reflect what you're searching for. So it is very important to go in with different viewpoints. But before we get into that, I'm going to start us off with introductions. I'm Anna Sita from the Collin College chapter at Alpha Mu Tau, and I'm the chapter president there.
Hi everyone, I'm Diksha Vivekanand. I'm the chair of HIA from the Alpha Mu Tau chapter at Collin College.
Hi everyone, my name is Autumn Ray Henry, and I am the president for the Rokai chapter at Tarrant County College South Campus.
Hello everyone, my name is Aubrey Lorty and I am an alumni. I served as the vice president of scholarship at South Tarrant County College.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily Guerrero. I am the recording secretary for the Rokai chapter at Tarrant County College South Campus.
Now that you know all the presenters today, let's get started and talk about HIA. So Honors in Action combines academic research, problem solving, and action-oriented service to address real-world challenges in your communities. Every 2 years, Phi Theta Kappa establishes an honors program guide that your chapter should use to build a strong HIA project. The program guide this year is titled To the Seventh Generation, Inheritance and Legacy, and it identifies 7 themes that your chapter can pick from. The main component of your project is research. Your research consists of 4 major steps. First, after picking your project, it is super important for you to conduct basic research. Always keep your program guide close to you so that you're able to brainstorm and pick an initial theme. Based on your initial research, form a question that is thought-provoking and can be researched in various ways. Always remember to research various viewpoints. During your research, you must compile 8 of your strongest scholarly pieces of sources to use for your Hallmark writing. Through these 8 sources, you should be able to answer your research question. after which you will start working on your action component.
Yes, and the action development is transformation of your research into service. Your action outcome would be different, whether you're serving in the community or advocacy by raising awareness. If you're following the timeline, you're actually in the action phase right now, which is communication, 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 from start to finish. Reach out, introduce your project, introduce yourself, ask for assistance, communicate throughout the whole process, update throughout, follow up with a thank you letter within 48 hours. Collaborate with campus clubs and organizations, deans, professors, college administration, student activities office, community organizations, college students, your friends, and your family. Make sure to create a lasting relationship because you will need them in the future. Service is action, so have fun and make an impact.
The deadline for submitting your homework entry is January 20th at 5 p.m. Don't wait until the last second. I recommend submitting it at least 24 hours in advance so that you have time in case the server crashes or there are technical issues or any other problems arise. And keep your word count in mind. You only have 2,600 words, including your sources. Every word counts and you can't go over.
Here are some extra tips for success. You want your sources to be academic and scholarly, and you want 8 sources. Edit and review your submission. You want to try to edit it multiple times to the point where you're sick of editing. That's because you need your grammar, spelling, and punctuation to be flawless. And utilize your space for 3 pictorials. This would be in addition to your 8 scholarly sources.
Now it is time to discuss how to start a project. There are 3 primary phases. The first is to plan, the second is research, and the last is action. So first, plan. The most essential document is the honor study guide and the judging rubric. A sub-document would be also beneficial is the civic scholar. You should have a strong understanding of the honors guide and the rubric when getting started. And when you understand those documents, you may now begin setting research goals with your chapter. Something to consider is what questions will guide your research. And make your calendar and consider venue and vendor timelines, and also review your budget. Journaling is important throughout the entire process. Start writing early and write often. Schedule about 1 to 2 weekly meetings, and each meeting covering about a theme or 2. And a good way to keep documentation for everyone to be on the same page is through emailing out weekly agendas, and meeting minutes is extremely useful. Plan for about 1 to 2 weeks margin of error. And a great way to research, or a great research incentive for members, is to do research on the 6 out of 7 themes and get your name included in the submission to the Quest journal publication. And keep in mind that research is the hardest part and the most important part of the entire project. The next thing is finalize your research question, which obviously can be tweaked later on. What is important is that you find a minimum of 9 to 10 academic sources, and you only need 8 for the homework, representing multiple perspectives of your research. Your sources should be academic in nature, meaning peer-reviewed, and no older than 5 years, 7 that support your question, and 1 to 2 sources that counter your argument. Keep track of your research citations along the way and go ahead and put them in APA format. This will save you a lot of work later on. The next thing is, if your academic investigation is thorough and if your topic is of interest to your chapter members, you will inspire action. Seize this opportunity to apply new knowledge of global issues to impact yourself and your community. Outcomes must cover both qualitative and quantitative. Plan your action component. So during October and November are the months of really implementing and planning your action. Think about your research and what it has taught you regarding the honors topic, and review your collaborator options on campus and as well as in your community. Ensure you are using the rubric before, during, and after your action component. And remember to consider all sides of the project. So now it is time to implement your plan. You may choose to form subcommittees and make your final connections, book your venue and vendor, and ordering supplies and reviewing your budget are all crucial in the entire process. And that is how you start a project.
Start working on your reflections in mid-November. Don't wait until you start writing. It takes time to determine you've properly answered the questions, and you'll want to start writing the homework in late November or early December. Reflect on your project's results. Did you accomplish what you expected to? Or did the project curveball partway through and end up with completely unexpected results? Keep track of this in your journal. You'll want to remember these critical moments when you write the homework. Did you meet your goals? From the goals that your chapter set at the very beginning of the project, as well as any goals that were reevaluated before the action component. Were they fulfilled? Or were there goals left uncompleted? It's okay if there were, but make note of it. Do your sources agree with the research and back up your action component? When reviewing the research, do your chosen academic sources support it? Also, do the results of the research point directly to your action component, or are the two seemingly unrelated? Did the project answer the questions presented by the rubric? If you walk through the rubric point by point, does each question tie directly into a piece of your project? Take careful notes of it for your writing. I also recommend reviewing the HIA rubric frequently throughout your project to keep the broad perspective in mind. It is incredibly easy to get so deeply involved in the project that you forget what it looks like from an overall perspective. As you reflect over your chapter's project, keep in mind the objective for Honors in Action. Did the project increase the understanding of the chosen theme for everyone involved? Did they understand how it ties into the honors study topic of inheritance and legacy? When you write the homework for your chapter's project, your major focus will be on the quantitative and qualitative results from the project. So keep track of any numbers and any highlights. If you hosted any events, how many people were there? Did you collect surveys? How many and what was the consensus? Were people's opinions and/or lives changed by the overall project? Write all of this down so you can reference it for the writing.
And here is an approximate timeline for Hallmark Writing. So at the end of November to mid-December, you want to send your first full draft to advisors. They're the ones that are most familiar with the project, and so their critiques will be more specific. The rest of December, you want to send your second draft to different editors. We suggest sending it to multiple professors from your campus. Get them to read and edit your work. And try to ask at least 3 outside readers to grade the entry using the rubric. And revise your entry upon their feedback. During the winter break, you want to have your final edits done and submit your work by January 20th, 2021. Please don't try to wait till the last minute, and please don't try to do the work by yourself. Try to make it as collaborative as possible. If possible, submit your work a day before to try to avoid any technology mishaps.
Nuggets of wisdom. Your research question, it may change multiple times, and that's okay. Keep an open mind and let the research guide the project. Have fun. You've got this, you young padawans.
Reference for that, she has no idea what padawans are, so
No.
all the funnier.
No. We practiced that for weeks, okay?
They are padawans, Ottoman.
Padawans.
All right, so guys, what we have up next is a Kahoot to quiz you on different things that you learned during this presentation. So Diksha is going to drop in the chat a link for Kahoot, and if you have it downloaded already, or even if you can link it to a browser, it should pop up. And again, if y'all have any questions, just pop them in the chat and we'll do some Q&A right after the Kahoot.
Game pin is on your screen right now, so use that and join us.
I should have said padawans, right?
Padawans. Mm-hmm.
I know I should have done that.
We are all Padawans this week.
Yes. Dr. Awesome.
Woo woo! Ooh, we got us a D2 VP. I feel so special having regional officers show up to this workshop of ours.
All right, I will go ahead and get started now. Which one is not a main component of your HIA project? We have autumn leading. What types of sources can you use in your Hallmark entry? I like how quick the answers come in. So much fun to look at. I don't know who S is, but S is leading. What is the maximum number of sources allowed in your Hallmark entry, excluding pictures and graphics?
Oh, and we totally forgot to tell you all the prizes that you get for winning this. So first place wins a prize from Rokai chapter, and second place will win a snazzy hoodie from Alpha Mu Tau.
Next question. Your research should not.
Sorry guys, hope everyone was reading.
Yay. I'm so glad everyone answered that right.
Me too. Means people were listening.
What matters most in your Hallmark entry? You guys are quick.
Quick and good.
Yeah. Okay.
Woo! Ooh, Adiba. Our winner is S. Woohoo!
Who is S? Sorry, Nugget.
I will stop sharing.
So, if our winners would drop their emails to me in the chat specifically, I will send you information about those prizes.
Woo-hoo.
Woohoo! And we're going to move on to Q&A. So any questions that you have, just drop them in the chat. I did see a question earlier asking if we could pass around the presentation later, and absolutely. If you will email Dr. Hargis, and she's going to put her email in the chat, or I think she already did. You can email her and give her your information, and she'll send it around.
We also have a grant from International that's going on right now. It's due in a couple of weeks. It's due exactly on 30th of this month, if I'm not wrong. And get your chapter to apply for it, get your money, and go do great in your HIE project. Anna, did you get the emails?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, that's a good one in the chat. What are the necessary components of the grant? Deeksha, why don't you take that one?
Okay, so you will need your research question, your theme, You also need 3 sources that you're going to use. Um, and they ask you a couple of questions about how you will use these funds and what your plans are for, the action component or the research part that you will be using these funds for. It's very simple. It's really short. You can get it done really quickly. You just need to have the information.
Is it too late to start an HA project if I haven't started one already?
That's a good question. It is never too late, although I would argue that January 19th might be a little late to start. But no, as long as you are willing to put in the effort, you can start even now.
Again, you should not try to do it alone. It's not fun. You try to do it alone. Have a good team.
Yes.
One of the unspoken rules of HIA is recruitment. You need other people to do it with you. So even though it's not touted as such, you really want to recruit all throughout the project as many people as you can to help you. Oh, here's another good question. What are some challenges that are common and how do you overcome them? Autumn, how about you take that question?
Some challenges to overcome, I think, would be there's communication is the first thing that came to my mind is communication. Not everybody sees communication as important. So meeting them where they're at in the communication and follow up. Communicating, when you're communicating, you can prevent things from happening. And that's funny because we were just talking about this during our practice. So communication and making sure that when the people that start with you, they stay with you. What can we do to keep people connected? And what can we do to bring that support to them so that way they're still here through the whole process? Time management, right? So we have a timeline that we operate on. We may not always finish our research portion because research is the biggest part of the project. That's okay. Begin to work on the next aspect, continue the research. And getting worn out. This is a long, big project. So self-care, when those moments that you get worn out, tired, overwhelmed, you want to cry, you want to scream, you're sitting there on January 19th, you're like, oh my goodness, what's happening? Self-care. Take a moment, breathe, back up, breathe, be quiet, regroup, and begin again.
Is there any resources to reach out to for advice? That's another excellent question. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, International Headquarters has put together an entire library of videos and other resources to help you with your HIA project. And we're here to help too. So reach out to any of the leaders in your region, your regional vice presidents, or any of us, and I will put my email in the chat as well, and I encourage all my other presenters to do as well. You can absolutely reach out to us, and if we don't know the answer to your question, we will redirect you to somebody who does.
And if I may add to that, definitely make a connection with the Writing Center. I know most of us are virtual right now. I know at TCC, our Writing Center, you can send your edits through email and they get it to you within 72 hours. So reach out to the English professors, reach out to the professors so that way when you come to the writing portion and the editing and the editing and the editing and the editing and you dream about editing, you can reach on to them and pull from their point of view. So make those connections.
You can also reach out to your Texas Regional Coordinator. Marylander is always happy to help. Another question I saw in the chat was, can my homework still be successful if the action component isn't as successful as planned? Mm. Absolutely. So your homework is all about how it went, not necessarily did you succeed or not. So your homework is really documenting what you did, what you researched, and how it all came together. Even if, for example, your action component gets waylaid and it ends up absolutely nowhere at all, you still did the work to try to get that action component done. So that all of that goes into your homework. Deeksha, how about you elaborate a little bit more on this, since our project has been experiencing some difficulties too?
So our project got completely shut down and stabbed, to put it lightly. But it's okay because, when you have a good team, it's okay because you get to brainstorm all over again and you get to do the next best thing. And that's okay. You are going to hit a lot of problems on the way. And it's okay because this is about learning and you learn.
Can I add into this? I'm so sorry. This is an area about which we get a lot of questions, and I think that where we have a lot of students reluctant to really put the information out there when you have a failure. I've yet to see an honors and action project that goes 100% perfectly. You're involving a lot of people, and anytime you're doing that, you're going to run into roadblocks. And so sometimes it can be little things like miscommunication, as was talked about before. And sometimes they're really big things, like when your project just totally falls apart. And all the things in between. Always write up the failures. Mm-hmm. Always write up the failures, because the whole thing with honors and action, it's about your process and your learning right through that process. And so there is more to learn from failure than success. And so they want to see where you had the troubles, how you regrouped, how you worked to overcome it. And even if you're like, we put together this great event, we put on all this programming and like nobody showed up, put it in there. What did you learn from it? What could you have done better? They want to see that. And a lot of students, particularly Phi Theta Kappans, because we like to always be like, we're awesome, and you are, but we all fail. We all stumble. And so put it in there, because that's what they want to see. If you write up like everything was puppies and kittens and butterflies, they're going to be like, no, it wasn't. This is not true. And so don't be afraid to put those failures in there and how you regrouped, what you learned from it, and you're going to have an amazing entry that will still score well.
That is some fantastic advice. Another question I see is, what is the best setup when journaling, or the best way to organize your thoughts? This is different for everyone, so I'm going to start with how I like to do it and then pass it around to all of our other presenters. So the way I like to do it is that I like to mark down literally anything that I did that day, even if it's as simple as looked at these particular articles, even if I don't already have the citation done or have already started on the bibliography. Just, this is what I saw, and this might be useful. And it's a day-by-day thing. You're not going to get it done every day, but you can at least get started on it, and then you can come back to that page and add on to it to continue your thoughts.
That's so good. I think for our chapter, one of the things that, we implemented is before our officer meeting to journal for 2 to 3 minutes about the week, like about what we learned in all of our positions and our roles, like what obstacles did we run into, how are we going to reroute something? What did we learn? What connections did we make? What speakers came to speak to our meeting? We have our officer meetings weekly. And so to implement that, so that you can always come back to it. I know not everybody, because we're honor students and we're also different roles in our life. And so not everybody can journal every day. So like setting time, like planning time to journal for me is better. And so I wanted to implement that with our officers, and not to overdo it, 2 to 3 minutes. That way, boom, boom, do everything else.
I usually just take notes, even if it's the dirtiest notes ever. It's okay. And then I type it out in proper ways. I type it out, and that helps a lot. It's okay if your initial notes are dirty. It doesn't matter. No one's going to see it. So, and I know because all of us strive for perfection. That's a huge problem, but you need to know that it's okay to be messy sometimes.
I think what everyone said was really good. And also another way that can be potentially really easy is just utilizing your meeting agenda and minutes for journaling. That's what we primarily did last year, and we found it to be really beneficial.
This summer during the Texas Honors Institute, one of my students said that she actually has everybody on the team enter into a Google Docs, and she assigns everyone a color. So every time that they make an entry, their entry is in their color. And so you can see all the different comments all together. But you know who entered them, and they use that color anytime that they make any entry. I thought that was awesome.
Yes.
That's a really neat idea.
Something that we should implement this week.
Mm-hmm. All right, another question that we have in the chat is, how do you work towards eliminating wordiness and becoming more concise? So the way I like to do this, and this really comes down to editing. It comes down to practice. So even if you like to be very wordy, I would say put that down and then go back through and go, okay, these words don't actually need to be here. These 4 words can become this 1 word. I can make this shorter. But a lot of that is just practicing going back and editing. And as you do that, you'll start to think more concisely. Any other suggestions on that, guys?
Just to add to that really quickly, so absolutely your editing process is really important, but also sometimes whenever I was writing, I didn't realize how wordy I was until someone else looked at what I was writing. So having other people to review what you're writing can be really helpful in that.
And now since you know that you have this tendency to, be wordy, because I do too, I do that a lot. Another thing that I learned is reading it back to myself loudly, or have somebody read it to you, and it's so much easier to edit that way.
I also think that you should have at least one pass through Grammarly.
Grammarly.
Yes, I can confirm that. Every single one of the emails that I send out, I pass it through Grammarly first.
That's so good. One of the ways that we did last year, I remember with the college project, is we all went to the library and we used the projector, and we had it, where there was multiple people in the room, and we all read it together, and we were able to piggyback and feed off of each other. Like, okay, this doesn't sound right, or this sounds right, or that's too wordy. Having everybody look at it, and then we use Grammarly also.
It also helps if you go back and read aloud what you wrote down. Because if you write it down and then you read it back aloud to yourself, you'll notice things that you didn't the first time.
I think one thing I learned from everybody after joining Padawans is not to be too attached to what you write, because people will say you're wrong, and sometimes if you're too attached to it, it's gonna hurt really bad. So I think that's something you really need to remember.
Yeah, that is solid advice for your Hallmark writing. Whatever your first draft is, or your second draft, or even your 10th draft, don't be too darn attached to it, because you can hand it to somebody and they will absolutely rip it apart. Another question we have is, if you use an editor who has nothing to do with HIA or PTK, to give them the rubric and ask for a grade. That wasn't a question, but it is excellent advice.
It is. And I like that too, what Miss Linder said, editing is not personal. I think sometimes when I get my papers back and there's a ton of red on it, at the beginning of this college journey, I was like, oh, I stink. This is so bad. But now it's that detachment from it. That good feedback is always necessary for like a masterpiece.
This one actually is a question. What sorts of information should I be using the pictorials for? What is going to yield their best use? Diksha, actually, I think you know more about this one than I do. How about you take it?
So one main thing you should not do is try to increase your word count with your pictures. I think that's one problem, and that you should not do that. But anything that will increase the impact of your paper, or graphs will help you give numbers, and that's great. That's a great resource to amplify what you've written. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm sorry, but that's pictures and graphs should be used to increase the impact of what you've written, and not try to increase your word count.
So one example would be if you held an event. Due to COVID, we wouldn't necessarily be hosting tabling events like would normally be a part of an action component for HIA, but it wouldn't be unusual to have like Zoom meetings or events where that you're hosting to the public to raise awareness or to try to work together for an action component. Having pictures of all the people in that Zoom meeting would be a great picture to add in. It adds to both your quantitative and qualitative marks for that. Do you have to win an award to get 5-star status? That is a solid question. I'm actually going to pass this off to Dr. Hargis because she is very attached to our 5-star status.
It was my question. I just always, people during COVID are reluctant to do projects because they're worried that they won't win an award because, that's what they think is the most important thing. From somebody from the faculty standpoint, the HIA project, just doing the research is so beneficial to your future education that I always encourage people to attempt an HIA project. And we're just from a chapter that's always been a 5-star, and I've told my chapter all the time, I don't care if we win the award, you just have to do a project and submit it. It could be the worst thing you've ever done. Like, it didn't work, they shot us down, we can't get it done, but as long as you submit it, that 5-star status is cemented. And so especially during COVID, when a lot of chapters we don't have a large group, we're just don't have enough to finish the project, doing some of the research and putting something in writing and being able to submit is all you need for the 5-star status. So also, don't put so much pressure on yourself, because as long as you write exactly what you've done and you're heartfelt about it and you're honest, then it's all in how you write it. I've seen some amazing projects that get passed over for awards because the writing was really bad. And some projects that they thought didn't work out really well in the end win awards because the writing and explanation as to why it went badly was just very compelling. So I just know that during the COVID year, let's not make it multiple, we've had some questions from people as to why we should even try it. And so I'm always yes about my 5-star.
And if y'all want to voice your questions too, don't worry about putting it in the chat. Feel free to just hop on mic and tell us. Or don't, the chat's great too.
Well, I will say that Linda and I kind of go back and forth that I'm not a big fan of the HIA, and she loves it. Like, her chapter is, yes, I know, Linda, it's like her thing. I do college project, that's my thing. But I can't tell you how many past students come back, they've gone and done their undergrad or their master's especially, and they talk about being involved in an HIA project help them with their master's thesis. So if you're an overachiever, like I assume maybe half of you are, maybe more. if you're thinking of getting an advanced degree, being involved in just the HIA process is one of the best ways. And doing the HIA, the EDGE program now is like phenomenal to get you ready and prepared on research. I'm not saying that, you know, the classes that you're taking right now don't prepare you for research, but I know in my class, I assume a lot about my students that they can get there, but going through HIA really takes you to that next level. And so just throwing it out there.
What's the difference between college project and HIA? That is a fantastic question, especially for those who are new to PTK and have heard both terms and have no idea what the two of them are. So what it really comes down to is the focus of it. So the focus of college project is to work with the administration at your college and to build that bond there. The focus of honors in action is to focus on your community and on research. So that's largely what the difference comes down to. There's a lot more to it than that, but you can go to a college project workshop and learn more about that one.
We have a recorded one on the TXPTK YouTube channel. You can learn all about college project. But yeah, piggybacking off of what Anna said, college project, which, yes, Dr. Hargis loves. And it's not that I dislike the college project. I just have a soft spot in my heart for honors in action. But the college project is designed to help build or strengthen a relationship, right, between your chapter and your college. And so it's very much focused on your college, your institution, your campus. Phi Theta Kappa designed it because they know that our institutional support is absolutely necessary for chapters to thrive, for students to have opportunities. And so we wanted to serve the institutions that give us so much and allow us to do all these really great things. And so the college project is designed to do just that, where you meet with your administration, you identify a need, and then you work with your college to implement some type of project on your campus. It can be physical or virtual, as we're doing now, but it's really about that relationship building. And so it's just a very different focus than Honors in Action, which is a scholarly research project that produces some type of action. Both very wonderful projects. I just really love Honors in Action.
Okay, Storm's question is, how do you recommend I pitch HIA to members or prospective members who are apprehensive to get involved? This is what we say sometimes, you know, and scholarships, when you apply for scholarships, you apply for any PTK scholarships, any outside scholarships, they like to see volunteer work. They like to see involvement, action, action, action. And so when they are coming to help with HIA or college project, but in this case, HIA, they're getting involved. They're learning their soft people skills that will take them out into the real world. They're also building their CV. They're also building their transfer application, and they're building their scholarship application. So we pitch it to get involved. We keep it short and simple. This is our topic. This is what we like to do. We want you to come get involved. We want you to come connect. And the big thing is, what I look at is the scholarship, like service work. And this is what it is. You're providing service to your chapter. You're providing for HIA. You're providing service to the community, to the world. So just connecting with them, engaging them, keep it short and simple. I know for me, if somebody's talking at me for longer than 10 minutes, I see a squirrel and I start thinking about something else. So keep it short and simple and then engage them that way. Oh yes. And I just learned what that was. I was trying to develop a resume. I'm like, I already have a resume. What is this? Ms. Bowman did an awesome workshop on the VITA.
Do we have any other questions? I know we're running a little bit short, but that's okay. We galloped through our presentation. So.
Could someone share the link for the Texas Region's YouTube page?
Professor Linder, do you have that link at hand?
Yeah, hang on, I'll get it. It really is just TXPTK when you go to YouTube and search that.
Fantastic.
And there's another question, Anna.
How do you prepare for research? Do you just hop in, or Diksha, and yeah, Diksha, you have more experience with this. Did you hop in, or did you plan out carefully?
Well, I joined, I think, right after the chapter 50. And we looked through the honors program guide, and you have to go through that. That's really important for you to go through, because if you don't go through that, you don't know what you're doing. You absolutely do not know what you're doing. You're so lost, because that was me on the first day. I was lost because they're like, we need to research, and I'm like, but why? So you have to go through the resources that the PTK website puts out. So after you read through the program guide, you will get a clear idea on what they need or what you need for your topic, and then jump in.
I just want to put in a little plug. You have people at your libraries who have been trained, they have advanced degrees in research, and they know what is available at your school. And so you set an appointment with them, you tell them what you're working on, give it to them in advance, give them a copy of that honors program guide, and they will lead you to the resources that are available at your school. And they will do an amazing job at it.
Yes, and if I may add, for our HIA meetings, we always pull up our rubric. We start with that. We follow with that to make sure that we're hitting every step. So refer back to your rubric almost every meeting. Refer back to it all the time. That's good.
Well, if we don't have any other questions, then I guess that wraps up our presentation today. Thank you guys for coming. And as it was mentioned beforehand, this is being recorded, so it will be put on the Texas Region's YouTube page.